They did it. They freaking did it. I'm so glad to just start this video off with the bang that Metroid Prime 4 is freaking amazing. All the waiting, all the anticipation, all the hype is so well worth it. And I think that Metacritic score that is sitting as the lowest Metroid Prime game reviewed of all time, that's a bunch of hogwash. This is exactly what I wanted Metroid Prime 4 to be, more so than even I thought it could be, and I have loved every minute that I've played of this game. Between helping my mom with her retinal surgery and working for my other job, I've managed to squeeze in enough Metroid Prime 4 hours to let you know that the game is addictive, the game is amazing, the game has insane set pieces, and it is of the utmost visual and audio quality that Nintendo and Retro Studios have ever done. What's going on, guys and girls? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hit that like button if you enjoy Switch 2 content and videos and the Switch 2 itself, and now its latest greatest game. When I beat DK Bonanza, I thought, you know what? With the way that wrapped up, there is no way that anything tops that for me on the Switch 2 this year, or maybe even for the next few years. And here we go. I haven't reached the end just yet, but Metroid Prime 4 is sure knocking on that ape's door. I want to start off with something that I've never started off with, which is just the audio presentation of this game. Let's just take 10 to 15 seconds to experience and enjoy and awe and marvel at what they have accomplished here, because it is absolute ear candy. Dude, like that just puts you in such a mood. And for all those that said, Metroid Prime 4 lost its mood, it lost its vibe. No, it did not. You've probably seen my video on Mackenzie and the NPCs, and honestly, I think they're additive, not subtractive. I don't think that they ruin or remove anything awesome from the game. In fact, I think they just make the game feel a bit more cinematic, and I don't find Mackenzie annoying really at all. Yeah, the game's a little bit hand-holdy, but for the most part, you're still Samus Aran running around a deserted planet, a new world, and trying to save a forgotten civilization, and I find this story to be engaging, intriguing, and the way that it's coming together as I move through is really darn nifty. This game kind of has it all, and it really is what some of the early reviews said. It is a Zelda game if Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom never happened. This is the 3D Zelda that some of us have been wanting and waiting for. This is the 3D Zelda that OG Ocarina of Time fans have said, hey, you know what? I like the open world stuff, but wouldn't it be cool if they revisited the old way they did Zelda? And yeah, Zelda here has a big old helmet and an arm gun, but I'm telling you, this is the best dungeon crawler that Nintendo has made in so freaking long. I love the way that the worlds are all put together. They are linear, yes, but they do have expansive openings, options, and different explorable areas. There's so little unnecessary, nuisance-inducing backtracking while still maintaining a big world that feels like each level is a hub and a home and has its own ecosystem, quite literally, because it's like, oh, we've got the grassy jungle, we've got the fiery volcano, we've got the frozen over lab. They make sure that each one does feel like a place, and then it ends with a bang with a big boss. And the boss battles here are some of the best I've played all year, and definitely on Switch 2 and maybe even Switch 1. There's one in particular that's just a visual audio masterpiece. I freaking felt like I was in a Daft Punk music video as I'm nimbly dodging and destroying this strange enemy with a light show that definitely rivals the best looking games on the market. The Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime 4 is gorgeous and performs wonderfully. I've been playing exclusively on quality mode because I don't really care so much about the 120 FPS, but I do care about that 4K resolution. This game is crispy, Samus's suit looks amazing, and every time that it weaves and moves through different lighting, different dripping water, different fiery, frozen types of environments, you really get to soak in how much they did here. And it's a combination, a beautiful marriage of both technological prowess and a system that is totally capable of making this come to fruition, as well as awesome art design and awesome art direction to take full advantage of the system. How could you say that it is mediocre. I don't understand. Those people and I will never see eye to eye, but my eyes are in the visor because Samus Aran is back, baby. It makes me feel stuff. There's moments where I've gone, oh my God, I gotta do that fast. Oh my God, I gotta rush over there. There's set pieces that will stun you, and even kind of like mid-set pieces, like medium-sized pieces, I guess, that made me go, okay, this game is actually doing it. This game is pushing me in a way that a cinematic AAA single-player title should. And how often can you say that from Nintendo? Those words all together. They do great gameplay, or they do great multiplayer, or maybe they do great character design. But put it all together and package it in a cinematic AAA nature, this is one for the ages. This is the best looking game Nintendo has ever put out and published, period, bar none, not even close. It is significantly stronger than Metroid Prime Remastered. If you thought all this was going to be was Metroid Prime Remastered, but with new coat of paint, with some new levels, a new world, and a different suit Samus, no, this is a significantly better experience. The way that the world looks, those horizons, those skyboxes, they are absolutely glorious. And it's so weird to see this in a Nintendo game, which I think is one of the reasons I like the NPCs as opposed to absolutely bagging on them and hating them. It just feels like a very cinematic adventure, and it's that AAA feeling single-player story-based game from Nintendo that I really, really have been missing and wanting and hoping for. And yes, there's some pretty cool story in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but because it is sort of build your own way through the world, I don't feel that it is as cinematic, and I don't feel that you get as much of this narrative thread that pulls you through. And this game is all about pulling you through. I always want to play just a little bit more. In fact, I skip many save rooms because I don't want to take time to save, and I sure as heck know I'm not stopping my play session anytime soon. Let's go to the open world and the bike. Viola feels masterful to control. Everything here just controls great. A moment for the animations and just Samus's movement in general, because inside of Morph Ball, outside of Morph Ball, in then out of Morph Ball, the transitions are beautiful. The way that it's handled visually is awesome, and the way that it feels on the controller and on the sticks is great. We'll get to controls in the mouse mode in a minute, but Viola is a nice addition. I do love Samus having this bike, and I think it contributes to making the game feel bigger. Now, some have complained that, hey, the open world isn't really open, and yeah, that is sort of a knock against the game. It's just a big central desert that connects the 5 major dungeons of the game. And you could say, well, that's kind of pointless, but it is condensed enough, and that bike goes fast enough that I feel like it is something that does improve the experience. It does make it feel like you are traversing this planet rather than just strangely moving from these areas that kind of are smashed together and maybe don't transition as smoothly. There are also benefits to having this big world and to having the bike. You can hide a few things. There's some shrine type puzzles around the world. There are these green energy crystals for you to find. There are enemies that pop up from time to time. And it's just nice to drive around. I think it just adds to the actual scope of Samus's adventure here. And it's just bombastic. A new bike, a new mode of traversal, a new way to expand this game. In many ways, Metroid Prime 4 feels like it harkens back to the tried and true design docs from yesteryear. Like I said, it reminds me so much of 3D Zelda's pre-Breath of the Wild, but at the same time, they have made moves to move forward, right? They add this bike and this sort of open world. They add these NPCs that are chattering in your ear that some people will not like, but hey, it brings me back to the glory days of Xbox 360 and those type of titles where I really fell in love with the whole process of game design. Now the controls, okay? I think the best way to play this game is definitely Pro Controller. Although I will say that mouse mode is strangely fun. I think mouse mode is uncomfortable, but strangely fun. It's the fact that you have to hold the Joy-Con in that mouse down position, but also be hitting the triggers so many times as Samus fires her projectiles. That does sort of feel clunky, yet there's something novel and really fun about fighting a big bad boss in this way. And I specifically forced myself to complete a dungeon and a boss with mouse mode just to see how it went. And yes, it did tire out my hand, and yes, it did feel awkward, and it felt even more awkward when I tried to switch back to traditional controls and wanted to be moving my arm, but I wasn't. It was just my thumb. Like, I respect that they included this here. I don't think it's a way that anyone probably should play the entire game, but you can. It works well enough, and I think it's fun to try. Like, pick a boss, pick a dungeon, and force yourself to complete that area that way, just for the experience of it. My least favorite way to play the game is split Joy-Con. Something about that just does not feel right. I think the stick on the right Joy-Con is smaller enough in comparison to the Pro Controller 2 stick that I don't like how it works and feels. Thankfully, the Samus Aran fighting style is so much of a lock-on and fire, you don't really need to be moving the stick, but I do like the ability to fine-tune your aim, and I just traditionally experience games in this way. Twin sticks, right? You're moving left, you're looking around right, and I just prefer to do things that way. So I like the way it feels on a Pro controller, absolutely better than any other method, but you're totally fine if you do play it handheld. You're totally fine if you do try it mouse mode. Get ready for some cramping, but it definitely is a cool twist, and I'm glad that Nintendo included it. I got no complaints and nothing really to say on performance because it just runs perfectly. It runs magically. It runs amazing. I can think of one specific time I noticed a little graphical hitch, and I don't know what caused it or why it happened, but other than that, this game is gold, all right? There might be a few more load screens and interstitials than I'd like, but they've done their best to make this world feel merged. That's what that Soul Desert accomplishes. It allows you to move through the valley and navigate to these different places. They feel distinct. They've got their own sort of elemental set and feel. And I guess the only thing I could say about this game remotely negatively is that it is running over worn paths. And by that I mean this is Metroid Prime, but didn't we want Metroid Prime? This is a 3D Zelda dungeon crawler with puzzles and bosses and new items that allow you to explore more in the dungeons and then defeat the boss, and isn't that what we wanted? This is not the revolutionary evolution of Samus Aran that some may have hoped for, and if that's what you were looking for, that is not this game, but I think it is an absolute gem of a title. It is a Switch 2 masterpiece, and it might be the crowning achievement of the Switch 1. To achieve this level of world building, level design, and graphical fidelity on that little system that could is truly remarkable. Retro Studios took a game that was broken and built it back together in a way that I feel fits far nicer and extremely more fun than many of the reviews are giving it credit for. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond right now Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is beyond my expectations at this point, and I will be back with a full review when I do tidy up the game and finish the remaining dungeon, but for now, I'm loving it. We'll see how it comes together. I hope the ending and final boss are super satisfying. It does seem like the journey might be shorter than I anticipated, and some of that is due to the fact that they've removed a bit of the backtracking. And some of you are gonna feel like that is a detriment because, hey, it's not Metroid and not Metroid Prime unless there's a lot of aimless exploring, or as some might call it, the ability to navigate yourself. And while I do appreciate having something that doesn't just guide you straight through an objective marker, I also appreciate a game that respects your time. And I don't know that Metroid Prime 4 Beyond would be better if it had 5 or 10 hours packed in there that was just fluff, right? That was just navigation, backtracking, walking around. I feel like the game respects your time while still feeling explorative and while still feeling like you're the master of your ship. You get to decide where Samus goes, and you do have some leeway in terms of how you are exploring these areas, although you're being funneled in a direction. I feel like I'm encountering these areas on my own, by my own choice, and with my own design and plans of how I'm going to accomplish things. You'll notice I haven't really said anything about the moment-to-moment gameplay or the combat, and that's because I feel like those just fade to the background. And not in a bad way, but like they're just good. Is it the best shooting ever put to cartridge? No, it's not. Is it the best first-person platforming ever put in a game? No, it's not, but it's good and it's fun and it's in service of this world that you're exploring, this lore that you're helping build as you scan all the items. And Metroid is a bit of a slower adventure in that way, yet the pace here is brilliant because they have removed some of that extra stuff that just kind of bogged you down. There is a thread through the game, there is a path through the game, and there is a push because you've got these NPC characters assisting you, you've got a storyline that makes you want to focus and figure out what's going on, and you've got kind of a set direction, a linear narrative that is moving you from dungeon to dungeon while still giving you opportunities to play around. It definitely moves, and there's set pieces and there's moments that make you go, wow, Metroid Prime 4 is just about perfect. And I'm absolutely floored that reviews were coming in the 6s and the 7s. I just don't know how you get there with that game unless it falls apart in the final hours. I am thoroughly impressed. I am beyond excited to tell you that Metroid Prime 4 was freaking worth the wait. This is the best modern era Zelda game like we used to know it to be, and it doesn't feature Zelda, but it sure is Nintendo. I think Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is going to be right up there with DK Bonanza as one of my favorite Switch or Switch 2 games of all time. How I decide and weigh out the winner, time will only tell. But for now, Metroid Prime 4 is a blast. Ignore any of the negativity. Mackenzie is actually a good friend. And I freaking love this game. Let me know your take in the comments down below if you've grabbed Metroid Prime 4 or if you haven't grabbed Metroid Prime 4 yet. How you feeling about it? Are you enjoying it? Are you now excited to pick it up? Are you skipping? I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. SwitchForce out.